Have you ever noticed that the people who tell you money does not matter are usually the ones who never have any? Meanwhile, the wealthy quietly follow a completely different set of rules that nobody bothered to teach the rest of us. It is almost like there is an invisible manual for staying broke that society handed you at birth. You have been following it religiously without even realizing it. You might be working 12 hours a day, and yet you feel poorer than you did last year. The truth is, you have been systematically programmed to remain poor through specific behaviors that feel completely normal. These are not just bad habits. These are deeply ingrained patterns reinforced by your family, your friends, and the media you consume daily. The scary part is that most people never recognize these patterns. This means they spend their entire lives trapped in a cycle of financial mediocrity. They wonder why nothing ever changes, while the world around them becomes more expensive every single day. Today, we are going to go after the root cause of why most people stay broke in this modern era. I guarantee that at least 5 of these 7 programming patterns are currently running your life. The first way you have been programmed to stay poor is believing that wanting money makes you greedy. This is probably the most destructive financial belief you can hold. It has been drilled into your head since childhood. How many times did you hear phrases like, "Money is the root of all evil," or "Rich people are selfish"? There is a twisted psychology behind this programming. Society needs workers who will accept low wages and not question the system. If everyone believed they deserved to be wealthy, who would work the jobs that keep the economy running? So instead, we are taught that being content with less is a virtue. We are told that struggling financially builds character. We are taught that people who pursue wealth are somehow morally inferior. But let us examine what actually happens when you reject money as a goal. You end up stressed about bills and unable to help your family in need. You constantly make decisions based on what you can afford rather than what would improve your life. Meanwhile, the people who embrace wealth building have the freedom to be generous. They have the power to create positive change in the world. The second programming pattern involves the illusion of security through traditional education. In the world of 2025 and 2026, this has become a dangerous trap. You were encouraged to get good grades, go to college, and find a stable job. This path promised security in the past. But today, what most people call security is actually a comfortable form of financial imprisonment. Think about the massive debt you take on for a degree that might be obsolete in 3 years. With the rapid rise of artificial intelligence, many traditional office jobs are disappearing. Artificial intelligence can now do the work of a junior lawyer, an accountant, or a coder in seconds. Yet the system still encourages you to spend $40,000 on a degree to compete with a machine that works for free. True security today does not come from a diploma. It comes from multiple income streams and owning assets that generate passive income. It comes from developing skills that the market actually needs right now. But you were never taught to think this way because employees who believe their job is their only option are much easier to manage. The third way you have been programmed to stay poor is through the normalization of modern debt. This one will probably make you angry once you see how it works. You have been conditioned to view debt as a necessary part of life. The financial industry has invented clever new ways to keep you trapped. Think about the buy now, pay later apps that are everywhere today. They make it feel like you are not spending real money. They divide a $100 purchase into 4 easy payments. This is designed to trigger your dopamine and bypass your logical brain. You end up buying things you do not need, with money you do not have. Society tells you it is normal to have a car payment that takes up 20% of your income. It tells you a 30-year mortgage is the only way to own a home. This programming is so effective that most people never question the total cost of interest. Wealthy people understand that every dollar paid in interest is a dollar that cannot be invested. They use debt strategically to buy things that gain value. But you have been programmed to use debt to buy things that lose value the moment you use them. The fourth programming pattern is thinking like a consumer instead of an investor. This fundamentally changes how you view every financial decision. When you see money, your first instinct is probably to think about what you can buy with it. You think about the new phone or the designer clothes. This consumer mindset has been carefully cultivated through decades of advertising. You are constantly exposed to messages about deserving nice things and living for today. The entire economy depends on you spending your money on things that will end up in a landfill. But look at what happens when you shift to investor thinking. Instead of asking if you can afford the monthly payment, you ask what this will cost you in future wealth. Instead of seeing money as something to spend, you see it as a seed that can grow. Instead of buying things that lose value, you start acquiring things that gain value over time. This shift alone can change your entire life. The fifth way you have been programmed to stay poor is through your relationship with time. This might be the most tragic one because time is the one resource you can never get back. You have been taught to trade your time for money in a linear relationship. This means your earning potential is limited by the number of hours you can work. This programming starts in school, where you learn to follow a schedule and exchange hours for grades. Later, this translates into showing up at an office and exchanging hours for a paycheck. You are never taught to leverage your time or create systems that work without you. Wealthy people focus on working smarter rather than harder. They build assets that work 24 hours a day. But the education system reinforces the time for money exchange because it produces reliable workers. If you only earn money when you are working, you are one step away from disaster. The sixth programming pattern involves your social environment. This is particularly challenging because it involves people you care about. You are likely surrounded by people who reinforce broke thinking patterns. When you start talking about building wealth or investing, they might respond with skepticism. They might tell you that you are being unrealistic. They might tell you to be content with what you have. This happens because your success makes them feel uncomfortable about their own choices. They want to keep you in the bucket with them. Attempting to break free often triggers resistance from your social circle. The seventh way you have been programmed to stay poor is through your beliefs about what is possible. You have internalized limiting beliefs based on your background or current situation. You might believe that investing is only for people who are already rich. You might think that starting a business requires an expensive degree. These beliefs become a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you do not believe success is possible, you do not take the actions to achieve it. The most insidious part of this programming is that it makes you defend the system holding you back. You will actually argue in favor of staying broke without realizing it. You will focus on the risks of investing while ignoring the risk of doing nothing. You will congratulate yourself for being practical and realistic, while others build wealth. Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward freedom. The real challenge is deprogramming yourself from decades of conditioning. Breaking free means going against social expectations. It starts with changing your internal dialogue about money. Instead of saying, "I cannot afford it," start asking, "How can I afford it?" Instead of saying, "I am not good with money," start saying, I am learning to be better. Start learning from people who have actually achieved what you want. Read books about financial history and listen to experts on wealth building. Do not try to change everything at once, or you will get overwhelmed. Start by questioning one automatic financial decision. Maybe it is that monthly subscription you do not use. Maybe it is the habit of buying lunch every day. This means seeing opportunities where others see obstacles. It means understanding that money is abundant for those who create value. This transformation requires you to take full responsibility for your situation. If your situation is the result of your decisions, then you have the power to change it. This is incredibly liberating once you embrace it. The people who escape poverty thinking do not become different people overnight. They simply start making different choices consistently over time. They choose to invest instead of just save. They choose to learn new skills instead of complaining about their job. Each good decision makes the next one easier. Each step away from the programming makes it easier to see the next step. Your future self is counting on you to break these invisible chains. The system is counting on you never questioning these beliefs. But now, you know better. Start your deprogramming today. Choose to be the architect of your own financial future. If you found value in this breakdown, consider sharing it with someone who needs to hear this truth. Leave a comment below and tell me which of these 7 patterns you see in your own life. Let us start a conversation about breaking free. The journey to wealth starts with a single change in perspective. Do not let the programming win. Take control of your mind, and your money will follow. Thank you for listening to this deep dive into the hidden rules of the economy. Your path to freedom begins now. Make the choice to stay awake and stay focused on your goals. I will see you in the next analysis.